Happy to be here, really happy to see everybody. This is a conversation. This is not a presentation. I have elected to start the conversation with a slide presentation, but it was really mostly to help organize my thoughts, and it's intended to be a liftoff point. And a heads up, I can't seem to do this conversation without tearing up, so just hang in there with me, and this is me sharing about something that's I'm passionate about, and apparently makes me do this, so there you go. Okay, I'm going to jump in to the slideshow and see if it calms me down. Here we go. I have to push share, that's what I'm doing. Alrighty. Next I have to find, here we go. Okay, oh, that's not the start. Let's start, oh shoot. Here's the start. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Free the Seeds and our community conversation. Oh, start with some water, good Lord.
Hey, Robin, why don't we take just a minute and ask everybody to go to the chat function on the bottom. You guys will all see chat. I want you to click on it where you'll see, it'll say to, and it might say attendees or panelists. Just go to the button and click all attendees and panelists, just in case we have some late coming attendees. And in there, we'd love for you guys all to type in your name and where you're from, where you're coming from, or where you are right now listening from. And then after we do that, if there's any questions that you want to put in beyond, raising your hand and speaking, you can put them in the Q&A, and it might just be like a holder place as Robin does her presentation and then starts the communication. It might just be another way to chat if it, and we'll, Whitney and I will be monitoring that. So we'll make sure that we include you in the conversation. We'll probably call on you to ask your question, but if you feel like that's a place you want to put something so you don't forget or whatever, that that is where we're going to be. We're not going to use the chat for that function. So, and I wanted to give Robin just a breath. Okay, with that, Robin, go for it.
Thank you. And I've given this talk 3 times now and I haven't been able to do it without crying. So here we go. So this is intended to be a conversation, an exploration amongst all of us, and then an invitation to you to share it as you think about it and share it with the people that you know, because this needs a lot of people thinking about it. And the idea is we've come a long way since we started Free the Seeds in 2016. I'm going to share a little bit about that. And it's very clear to me that it's time to go to the next level. And this needs everybody's thinking on what that next level is. How do we do it? What are some creative ways to make that happen? And yeah, so that's the intention and opportunity. I'm going to take a little bit to just kind of walk us through our little history, because it's pretty amazing to me. And I just thank everyone, by the way, for being on this call. It really, it's such a gift to be dialoguing together. Okay, let's see, what do I do? Here we go. So first and foremost, I want to just acknowledge some key players. Farmhands Nurse, the Flathead, has taken on Free the Seeds as a program and has embraced it 110%. And it's extraordinary to see the stability that it brings, that it being a program of farmhands brings the stability it brings to this idea that was an idea of a, a group of individuals in the Flathead Valley who came together and said, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to head and try. And it's got some serious legs now. Um, and another piece of it is Flathead Grows Seed Library, which was originally a collaboration between Imagine If Libraries and the Good Seed Company. And that group, so I just want to acknowledge all of these key players because they play a role in moving us to the next level. And I will, okay, my job was to introduce myself, I forgot. Just FYI, for anybody who might not know, I'm Robin Kelson. I'm the owner of the Good Seed Company, and the key point about the Good Seed Company is it's a passion project of mine, and it was created with the intention, with the specific mission of helping reestablish the community practice of selecting, saving, and sharing seeds for common use. So it is about reconnecting our community with our seeds and our food source. That's the whole purpose for the company, and in an ideal scene, the company will become obsolete as the community takes on its own power of food sovereignty, seed sovereignty, and seed resiliency. The way we've done that, we started by, we bought an inventory of seeds and a seed company from a family that lived in the Okanagan Highlands that had been growing and saving seeds for their community, which is a climate and geography very similar to that in northwestern Montana. And so I knew immediately that here was the basis for developing a community seed library, because they'd already done the hard work of identifying which varieties do well here. And because they lived off grid and had their own community, these were all quality seeds that had multi-purposes and had characteristics that were valued for permaculture, polyculture, and homestead considerations. So they store well, they're highly nutritious, they handle the vagaries of cold soil and cold seasons and short seasons and low light and all that stuff that is part of the magic of northwestern Montana. And I honestly, my big business plan was, I'll bring the seeds over and I'll give them to farmers and I'll give them to seed growers, and they'll grow the seeds, and we'll help pack them, and we'll help elevate these people growing the seeds, and then we'll be done in 3 years. And that turned out not to be the case. And it turned out not to be the case because, as it turns out, the following generalization I discovered is pretty much a true statement. So it's a generalization, take it with a grain of salt, but here's the deal. If, generally speaking, if you are under the age of 70, chances are when you were growing up, you were not taught by an elder in your community how to save seeds. And chances are, if you are under the age of 50, you were not taught by an elder when you were growing up how to grow food. That's 2 generations. So we discovered very quickly that we needed to become an education company. So even though we had seeds, and even though we were saving some seeds, our founder was saving the seeds, and we were growing some of the seeds, the idea that the community would just know how to grow these seeds and save them was something that had to be remembered. People had to remember how to do this. And so we spent a lot of time over the last 6 or 7 or 8 years, however many years I've now had the company, really trying to reduce the barrier to entry. Because the thing is if you don't have someone in your community, if you as a kid were not exposed to growing when you try to lean into it as an adult, there is this level of fear that comes in. It's like, figuring out how to go skiing when you're learning how to ski as an adult. It's very different from learning how to ski as a kid. And so there's a level of fear about putting seeds in the ground and getting dirty, and that it's just there's a barrier to entry. And the more ways we can reduce that and make it easy for people to just lean in and play, the more readily we can help build community around our food sources and therefore seed saving. So that's kind of the story of the seed company. And in the winter of 2016, there was an opportunity to take over a seed swap, and a woman named Tanya O'Rourke knocked on our door and said, I want to help build that seed swap. And we all got some people together, and a group of 10 people put together a seed swap that included workshops and booths and all, and we didn't really know what the hell we were doing that first year, basically. But 1,200 people showed up for that first event, and at Flathead Valley Community College. And we had the very clear idea at the time. What we wanted to do was to create a free event that would allow people to share seeds, share skills, share resources, and share ideas, with the idea being that we would be building communities, building a community, and specifically building knowledge, resources, and resiliency as it related to a community's food sovereignty or food resiliency, or specifically seed resiliency. And the key about seeds, as we all know, is our planet has spent 3 billion years developing itself. And basically, as a species, we rely on food in order to thrive and survive. And our food comes from seeds. That's just how we all work. So without seeds, we don't continue, as certainly as a human species. So we didn't know what the heck we were doing in 2016. We were overwhelmed by the community response, and just kept leaning in. And we've had over 1,000 participants every year. It's been pretty extraordinary. And over the course of 6 years, I did a rough calculation. We've packed and distributed over 45,000 packets of seeds. My biggest piece of pride is that I know for a fact that last year we distributed 13,000 packets of seeds, and 8,000 of those packets came from locally grown seed. I can't remember what it is. I haven't figured out what it is for this year, but that to me is huge. We've serviced over somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 attendees. We've provided over 150 different booth resources and put together over 90 workshops just through Feed the Seeds. And a big piece of this building community was to create a space for having conversations. I remember very distinctly at one of our first meetings in 2016, Pam Garraway from Purple Frog Garden saying, hey, we don't know if we're ever going to get, first of all, we thought 100 people were going to show up. And she said, we don't know if we're ever going to get these 100 people in a room together again. So we got to capture them and create a space for having conversation. And I realized in the subsequent years that what we're really doing is creating a space for community to gather. That's what we've been doing since 2016. And the conversations is a great way for that to happen. And so we created themed conversations each year. And one of the ones we had in 2016 was about the value and opportunity that a seed library would provide. And out of that conversation came a collaboration that started between Imagine If Libraries and the Good Seed Company to start a community seed library and at the Columbia Falls Library. called Flathead Grows. And over the last, since 2017, we have distributed um, on order of about 12 to 1,500 packets a year. And it's we had to cancel our group gatherings once the pandemic hit. So 2020 was kind of a wash. But prior to that, twice a month, a group of volunteers would gather almost every month to pack seeds that were donated to the library and put them on the shelves and offer them to the community to take and grow where they lived, and invite them to bring those seeds back, that they bring back seeds that they harvested from the plants that they grew. And over the years, we started to get small packets of seeds, and then, half a pound, and then a couple pounds of beans. So we actually, it has been working. We are getting more and more seeds, a variety of seeds from seed growers who are gathering their seeds from the community seed library. And it also, the community, Flathead Grows became a resource for putting together a series of workshops, again, that were intended to do that piece of reducing the barrier to entry. So I think it started in 2018, and for 3 years, I think we still managed to do it in 2020. We did a series of workshops trying to answer the questions of everything you'd want to know, from how to start seeds to how to harvest the seeds at the end of a season. And so that's been a big opportunity for the community. And then in 2018, Farmhands took over Free the Seeds as a program of Farmhands, and which has been an extraordinary resource to the community, because there is stability and planning and expertise and expansion of resources and ideas that comes from having an organization like Farmhands house this idea that is Free the Seeds. And in 2021, Farmhands and Imagineif have agreed to take over the Flathead Grows Seed Library. And this is an extraordinary opportunity for the community, because it allows the seed library to kind of get legs and to grow and to expand. And it provides stability, another level of stability for the seed library. And so it leads me to this conversation piece that I want to talk about, which is, what is the next step for the Good Seed Company? Because the seed company has been pretty much a solitary effort for a number of years now. And that's not a true statement, but because I have a lot of people doing lots of pieces of it. But I think when I say it's been a solitary endeavor, what I mean by that is, when I check in because I've been checking in about what it is that is for the seed company to do. And I've known for a couple years now that the seed company is at a choice point, and it's time for it to move to whatever the next level is. And for that to happen, it needs the next level of players. And I am not those next level of players. It sort of feels like a baton that needs to be passed. And I watched myself not able to be clear about how to do that, or just not being clear, and being very curious about why I wasn't clear. And I realized part of it was I was holding a baton of this mission of helping reestablish the community practice of selecting, saving, and sharing seeds. It needed to pass to the next place to go. And I feel like that has passed well, in particularly in this piece of the Flathead Grow Seed Library being taken on by farmhands and imaginative libraries. Like that piece of that mission of reestablishing the community practice through all of their educational expertise and programming and volunteer connections, like this feels solid to me, and it feels like, okay, that plate is spinning now, and that's excellent. And so that led me feeling like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe, maybe somebody wants to buy the company, and maybe we'll just continue as a seed distribution and seed growing endeavor. And then I saw the impact of this pandemic. And I thought, oh no, there's something else here. And so I don't know how many of you know this, but one impact of the pandemic as it hit last year was it caused a lot of panic and disruption for people and fear. And one of the ways that fear got manifested was making people more aware of, gosh, we have to take responsibility for our food sources. And so all of the seed companies everywhere, at least in the United States, I can't speak to other countries, but I would suspect it's the same there as well, were impacted by probably a quadruple of demand on their seed supplies. So, if you were buying seeds last year, you had that experience on some level. If you were a seed grower, you had that experience. If you were a seed seller, you had that experience. And it was, so, okay, that's one thing. And then, but what I didn't anticipate was the impact of that disruption on the sourcing opportunities for heirloom seeds. And if you don't know this, the niche, the vast majority of the seed that's grown for retail is hybrid seed, mostly because it's being grown for commercial growers. And there is a place for hybrid seed, particularly if you're a market grower, particularly if you are a small farmer market grower or high density market grower. You want to be able to dial in as tightly as you can your production and your growing parameters, and you can control that much more effectively with hybrid seed than you can with heirloom open pollinated seed. They just these are the plants that just they grow in their own time, they grow in their own space, and so open pollinated seed and / heirloom seed within that open pollinated realm is a pretty small market. And so the number of farms that are growing those seed crops is pretty small. And then within that, if you're doing the heirloom seeds that grow well in our climate, that's a really, 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 really small market. And so it's not unreasonable that the seed crops for some of the heirloom varieties that do well in our climate are sourced from maybe 2, maybe 3 farms in the United States, and maybe even 1 farm for some varieties. Even though those seeds might be available in a wide range of seed catalogs, they're not coming from a wide range of farms. They're coming from a few farms. And if they're what do I want to call? If they're picky, if they're trickier seeds to grow, say maybe seed crops to grow, say they're biennial seed crops, so they take 2 years, like a brassica, and then really your farms are there's even fewer farms that are growing them. And the reason this is an issue is that if there's a disruption to the farmer or the farmers growing that seed, they have an opportunity to make a decision. Do I want to continue growing that seed, or shall I make a decision to grow maybe a more marketable seed? Maybe I'm going to stop growing biennials because they're such a pain in the neck, or I'm going to grow a hybrid crop because I can get I can do better. I can get a better price or whatever. I'm going to do something else. And I saw this winter, I did some research and was surprised to see a couple of the seed varieties that I rely on for the community seed bank of seeds that do well here are no longer in the seed catalogs that I go to. And it's not like, so if you go through those seed catalogs, you might have seen there are a number of varieties that are listed as sold out for the year, because there were lots of disruptions unrelated to the pandemic that hit people last year, and particularly, as one example, forest fires in Northern California impacted farmers growing seeds there, other climate related issues, and who knows, for whatever reason. It's possible that, the pandemic, as I said, force seed companies to draw on seed reserves that they hadn't anticipated drawing on. And if you're a larger seed company, you're probably planning out your seed stock growing schedule. And if you maybe didn't plan to grow peppers this year, and so you don't have peppers to offer if you've worn out your seed stock. So they're sold out for the year. You'll grow them next year, or the year after. But in those cases, the catalogs say sold out. But if you made the decision not to carry a variety, or you were told by the seed grower that this variety is not going to be available in the future, the chances are that variety is not listed in the catalog at all. And a couple of seed varieties that I'm familiar with that do well here are not listed in these catalogs. And so what I recognize is what I'm clear about, as I think we are all clear, is that disruptions are just going to continue. We had a big wake-up call with the pandemic and all the other stuff that happened this year. Oh my gosh, like all the other stuff, including, among all that other stuff, a lot of climate related stuff. So even though my mind keeps saying, I'm just waiting for it to go back to normal, I am waking up to the fact that there is no going back to a normal. There is just simply leaning into wherever the new normal is. That new normal also includes the reality that our communities' reliable seed sources are less stable than I would like to think. And while we're doing really well, we've made a lot of progress. We've woken up a lot of people to this idea of seed saving, and lots of things are changing. I mean, when I started talking to farmers about seed saving, the vast majority of them wouldn't even, just didn't have the time to have that conversation, and more of them are leaning into it. So there's lots of positivity here. And what I also know is that we have to step it up to the next level. It really is something we have got to take to the next level. And it's our responsibility to our kids' future to make sure that they know how to save seeds, make sure that they know where their seed sources are, make sure that we have a reliable resources where we are. for our children and our children's children's future. And so I feel like, okay, so how there is something here, I think, and I if and what I think that means, this is so I'm going to stop talking here in a couple minutes and open this up for your uh, thoughts. What I think that means is we have to find a way, we have the opportunity to make the decision to together to commit to growing more seed crops locally, period. Just, we're going to commit to another level of it. And we're going to do more than just the easy stuff. And, we're just going to commit to saving our own carrot seed. Maybe we commit to saving, a variety, keeping a local seed source of the brassica seeds that are important to us, the cauliflowers, the broccolis, whatever. And in order to do that, I think it means finding a home, a land home to grow these crops. It doesn't necessarily mean buying land. I don't know, but and uh, so this is in my mind as I think about what is the next thing for the seed company, the Good Seed Company, and I think that it could be that the Good Seed Company just steps into this piece of being a resource for seed crop, community seed crop production, and maybe education. Um, and so I just want to explore this conversation together. Maybe it doesn't involve the seed company. That piece I don't care so much about, but I do care about sort of this next level piece and how we might find a way to make that um, reachable. Now, again, I want to open it up for conversation. And the last thing I'll say is, um, in its current structure, again, the seed company, it grows some of the seed and it buys some of the seed. It does not currently do what a lot of small seed companies do, which is a lot of small seed companies also augment their um, income by selling produce and offering CSAs and things like that. That's been something I have not wanted to do with this version of the seed company, but that has been a financial resource for other seed companies. And I bring that forward to say that in its current incarnation, this, as I said, this has been a passion project for me. So it pretty much is just self-sustaining. It's not a financially big moneymaker, if you will. There are ways for that to improve that piece of it. That's maybe a different conversation. And the ways to improve that have not been something I've wanted to do up until now or to date. And then the last thing I'll say is that another thing that has, that in conversations I've had with people, both other seed companies and other seed stewards and local farmers, is that there's an opportunity to sort of build engagement both at a community level and at a seed production level by maybe focusing on a number of varieties, maybe 5 or 6 varieties of seeds that do well in the valley and that the valley could become known for as the seed source for these. Um, could be one of our squashes, it could be one of our carrots, it could be one of our beans, could be one of our peas, one of our lettuces, something like that. So anyways, I'll just throw those out and stop talking and open this up. I'm going to stop sharing and just see what other people have to say. Thanks for listening, everyone.
So you all should be able to unmute yourselves. If anybody can't, let me know in the Q&A, or you can type your questions in the Q&A or your thoughts, and we can have you share, and then we can ask you to share live. So. Diana, did you have something to share?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Can you mute yourself? Okay. Crystal, can you unmute yourself or no? Okay. This might be more difficult than I realized. So just give me a second here. Oh no, there you are. You're unmuted.
Yes. Robin, thank you so much for all of your hard work. It was really inspiring to hear what you've done. It's it's really remarkable. I understand why I wanted to like burst into tears listening to you. Okay. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 65. I didn't have anyone teach me how to do growing. But I was sort of pushed into it because I got sick. And I think that's how a lot of people, especially as more and more people contract some sort of autoimmune disease, which science doesn't know how to deal with. I do. I deal with it by my diet. And I think more and more people are coming to this. But as far as plants and growing things, I had a place down in Dixon, which, well, I don't know if I repeat this often. It was called the Banana Belt of Montana, whether or not that was true. It's right along the Flathead River there. And for some reason, the climate stays really lovely. You can grow blueberries, and which I did, and lots of berries and tons of plums. And I sold that place and I bought this place up in Big Arm, which has crazy wind coming from over the hill there. And I have a half an acre and it's got, 2 lilac bushes and some volunteer elms and lots of weeds. I discovered last fall that there's yellow dock growing everywhere and chickweed. So I'm kind of into the herbs because that's what I've been using I'm gradually learning. I'm not ready to go to school. I'm an artist. Okay. So I went back to school for film in 2010. I'm not going back to school again. And I'm trying to build an Airbnb. And what I'm trying to get at is the piece that I would like to, what I'm working on and would like how I could contribute apart from the growing, which I would love to be able to launch right into, but I'm creating an Airbnb that I have a fleet of RVs. It looks like Redneck Hill over here right now because I haven't done anything yet, but try to remodel my space. But I had my space in Dixon was the old mercantile, and we used to do events there and stuff. And so I have a lot of experience hosting events, and I studied film and stuff. And so with my involvement in media, that's kind of where I feel like, I can be the most use here. And I wanted to, I don't know how far I'm going to get this year because it's just me doing all this construction and it's going slow. But if not this year, then next year and leading up to this, maybe as part of the planning, doing Airbnb is offering what they're calling experiences now, where you can have people come and you host an event for, whatever, 3 days or 4 days or something like that. And so I really wanted to have a focus on herbs, healing, growing, permaculture, which I think is really important. I think the education piece is super important because like just this morning, I was talking to my sister. Now she's been a nurse for I don't know how many years in Missoula. And when I talked to her about health issues, it's like going to med school doesn't really teach you about how to use food for healing. It's really about give somebody a pill and they don't really address the root cause. Whereas I feel like food gets to that. And so many people are unaware of it, and that you start talking about it and you start to sound like a conspiracy theorist when you really get down to it. But permaculture and other modalities, what you're talking about, the seed banks and everything, I think are, I don't see quite the urgency maybe that you do, because at least in my exposure doing Airbnb to the younger generations, when I try to talk to people my age about this stuff, their eyes glaze over and they don't want to hear it because they want to get the rototiller and all this stuff. But when I talk to younger people, they seem to have they're more open to this, and they have, they've grown up with the internet. And so you don't have to explain so much about what our needs are, because it seems like the younger people already understand this and they're more open to it. And so what I've seen in, the last, I don't know how many years, is a more of a broadening and an opening of awareness to this. So I think the younger generations have really sort of restored my faith in a willingness to change.
Yeah, I agree, Crystal. We have some other people that have been waiting to talk. So would you be okay if we moved on? Everything you said.
But I just want to, maybe my suggestion right now is to find a way where we can get in touch with each other, or a mailing list or something besides Facebook, please.
Well, we have this great, everyone in this group that's willing, we can definitely continue the conversation for sure. I think that's a good point, Crystal. And I think the only way we're going to move this forward is if we keep talking about it. So thank you so much.
Sorry, I took so long.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you
about this stuff too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. John, you want to talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Robin, you really talked about creating conversation. I think that's really what this is about. You talked about passing the baton. I don't think of it as one baton. There's many batons to be passed. And I really want to just reassure you that, out here in Butte, we're listening. And we really want to see how we can initiate the things that we can do with our seed library, what kind of workshops we can develop to teach other people. And it might be different in Whitefish, but I don't think everybody's getting it out here. It's education, it really is. And so as much as we can teach, and I just wanted to admit that I'm one of the people who's been trying to push the limits of what you can grow out here in Butte, Montana. And I'm a culprit. I do tend to buy hybrid seeds, and I'm trying to sway myself away from that. So as a pledge to the future, I'm going to try to rid ourselves of T1s, whatever we can, and try to make sure that we save as many seeds as we can and teach people to do the same thing, because that's really the most important thing. And like what you were saying with the scarcity of seeds, yeah, I've seen it. I had a lot of trouble finding the certain things that I like to grow. So I'm branching out, and I think that's good. And I think we need to focus that more on those types of hybrid seeds. And it's a lot about the demand of the seed versus the people who want to save the seeds. So the heirloom seeds, make sure if you're buying heirloom seeds, you're thinking about how you can save them. And I think that's the main reason why we're all here. So that's about all I want to say.
Thank you, John.
So we've had a few questions in the chat. If any of you guys would be willing to speak to them in person, we would love to have you do so. It says Dot Barnes. I'm not sure what your first name is or if that's your first name, but feel free to unmute yourself and talk.
Okay, here I am. So howdy, Robin. This is Barnes from the Bitterroot, and thanks for letting me know about your really cool seed swap. And yeah, there's so much to say about this because, as the lady spoke before, is the food is medicine, and I'm just going to try to keep it short. But food is medicine, and how we grow our seed and how we grow our plants reflects in our seed DNA. You know, if we live a healthy life, our seed is healthy. If a plant lives a healthy life, it's healthy. And I'm a big fan of seeds are genetic dreams because, as Robin mentioned earlier, life is a seed and it has been going on for like a bajillion years. And there's a lot of philosophy with that I could keep talking, but I don't want to because other people got to talk. But I think what I'm trying to get at is I go to primitive skills gatherings, ancestral skills gatherings, however you want to say it, where we learn how to, like, I personally teach how to make friction fire, like on Castaway or other forms. Like I can turn a deer roadkill into clothing, food, jerky, soup, marrow, whatever. I can do bison robes like old school natives had in their pictures. And but what I'm getting at is just to throw out a thought is there are primitive skills gatherings or skills gatherings in Washington, Idaho. We're thinking about getting some here in Montana. There are primitive skills schools in Montana that seed saving is never taught at those. And that's one of my objectives when I go to teach of these is to start teaching about seeds, because without seeds, we don't have a lot of food. And also, if the pollinators are dead, we have less food. So I don't want to take up the floor any more than I have to. I'm just saying that I think a good avenue to look at is to reaching out to already of the skills scene that's already out there. And if anybody's interested, I would love to chat because I teach at those and I know a lot of the instructors. I know a lot of the people that put it on. I'm not saying I know in like an arrogant way. I'm just saying that I can help people guide them in their journey of the skills world, or just reaching out to know what the skills world is. Like if you want to learn how to make fire, I can help you with that, or tell you where to go, or make a shelter, or whatever. So that's just throwing that thought out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Barnes. Glad
Yeah.
to see you.
Patty, go ahead and unmute yourself. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, great job, and great job with everybody with Free the Seeds. Wow, and farmhands, kudos. The only things racing vigorously through my mind was, like, let's say, okay, I'm going to put a big foot forward, grow some seed, but I need to have some way of knowing where is it going to go. So I'm thinking like a big farmer, right? So in the east here, Eastern Plains, all across the plains, they all started a co-op in order to be able to have a place to clean the seeds and sell the seeds. And they were all on a high line, of course, and they set up an elevator. Where there was an elevator, there became a community. So I'm just thinking if we had some way of having a co-op, I know there's other co-ops, but I'm just thinking if I'm going to grow some seed, I need to know, is there a place for it to go? And am I growing something that's already in surplus? Or if I'm growing something in demand? And so I don't know, some way to organize that leg of it. I don't know how, but that's the only thing that was racing through my mind as far as that part of it. So as far as education, I think we need to be in every single school. I talked to my kids the other day and I was talking about how corn, we were doing agronomy. We were talking about how corn seeds that have evolved from what they was 10,000 years ago. They have no idea. They have no concept whatsoever because it's not in the current curriculum of schools, right? So somehow, and I've been saying this for years, we need to get the state superintendents on board to be teaching the right things to our children. I'm going to stop because I'd have soapbox. So
I'd just like to comment right quick about what Patty said. And Robin, I emailed this to you earlier. Instead of trying to target the public schools, which I do think is absolutely the right way to go, I think you might be able to get into a homeschool co-ops and distribute material that is put together by a group or a co-op or a seed company or whatever, and then get with the county-wide co-ops, homeschooling co-ops, and get those distributed, because you wouldn't have to get into the state education XYZ whatever and wouldn't have to be approved. And there's a lot of, by the time you try to start getting those people involved, they're going to want to see how it works. But if you've done it at the homeschool level and you've got 2 or 3 years of look at how successful it is, then when you go to the state education board, you can show them, here's the curriculum, here's how it works, here's what people are saying about it. And in the meantime, you're already starting the education instead of waiting to get through all the hurdles. You can start straight away.
Hi, everyone. This is Whitney. I'm the education coordinator with Farmhands. I just really want to jump on after that comment. So here in the Flathead Valley, we are taking over the Farm to School program at Columbia Falls in the school district and the school garden. And our intention is to focus on seeds. So we'll be teaching kids about food and where it comes from. And we always want to start with soil, but we're also going to focus on seeds. So we'll be saving seed. We'll be teaching kids about seed. So I'm just really excited to announce that to everyone and share that that is our intention through summer camps, through kids who are in school, through kids come to the garden, to really start with our next generation of seeds are the basis of everything. So I just want to share that we're doing that in a public school.
And here's Gretchen again, Farmhands. To piggyback on what Whitney said, Food Corps is this amazing AmeriCorps program that started in the state of Montana that brought young people into school systems to teach farm to school programming. And it actually started in the state of Montana and became adopted as a national program. And now it's a national program and they've cut Montana out of it. So this is our last year with Food Corps. But there is some really amazing farm to school programming throughout the state. And I think thinking about that being a piece of this might be an interesting idea. I don't know how much each of the programs focus on seeds, because I think Whitney's right. Like, we focus on soil, we focus on starting, but we often don't focus on the seed part. And when we do, kids love it. I mean, Whitney was telling me, because she also was a farm to school educator in Whitefish and in Big Fork and in Kalispell. She's been all over. She's amazing. And kids remember when we've worked with the school districts on saving seeds for Free the Seeds for years. This year, a lot of the seed bundles were packed the seeds were packed by kids in Kalispell, some in Whitefish, and a lot of volunteers in Columbia Falls. So all over the valley. But the kids, they are excited about it. They remember saving seeds. It's like it sticks in their brain. And so as we think about this moving forward, I think, that is an important piece of it, is how do we need to, the foundation is needing to get people to grow the seeds. I think we have a pretty good labor force that also includes teaching through packaging seeds. So anyway, I just think it's a piece of the puzzle.
Great.
Can I speak on a couple of the things that have been said thus far? Okay, so my name is Suzette Daniel Kinney, and currently I reside in Ottawa, Tennessee. I'm actually from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I was a master gardener in North Carolina and went into schools in the public school system to teach. The simplest is they are hungry and have no idea how to grow, how to save, or where food comes from. When you hear a second or third grader say, food doesn't grow in soil, you go to Walmart and get it, it's heartbreaking. I don't meet any of the demographics. I'm 50, but I had grandparents who taught us basic skills. And as I have gotten older with children and with grandchildren, I am amazed at the experiences that everyone didn't get that I got, not only in growing, but in hunting and fishing and just the entire ecology of leaving a place better than you found it. And so it's mind blowing to me when I speak to groups. Currently, I have a seed saving program in Ottawa, Tennessee. I'm a mentor for a community teen garden, and they have no concept of what's going on. And food is something you can't live without. I don't understand how people aren't curious. So, how do you get individuals, all individuals, to be concerned about this, as well as engage them? Because that has been a horrible problem, because teachers, even teachers, don't think this is important because it doesn't meet their curriculum for the test that they have to give in 3 weeks. So when I would go into schools, I would be told, hey, look, we're really trying to get for the test, the standardized test. So can we just have you in 6 weeks instead of for the next 3 weeks? So how do you make it paramount for everyone to understand? If we don't teach the next generations, this goes away. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox.
So I'll speak briefly as a grower here in the Valley that I agree a lot with what Patty said, that if we're trying to lower these bars, Robin, like you were talking about earlier, of bars to entry and levels of entry, like the way things are going right now, the growers, the commercial growers are not going to take responsibility for this task. As a farmer, you have 1,000 things to do. You have a list that just never ends. Like you just shuffle things from the bottom to the top. So the only way to get that community more involved is to incentivize it in some way. And if we had a co-op, if we just had resources that we could use to make it more beneficial to us and not have it as this looming thing like, oh yeah, every year we plan to save seeds, but then something happens, you have a bad weather event, or something else becomes a major issue that you need to move up to the priority list. So if there is a network, some kind of structure, some kind of co-op, something that just provides support for growers, I think we would see a lot more reaction from people that would be way more willing to engage in that task and see it as something worth doing rather than, prioritizing hybrid seed or whatever they can just buy right away.
Thank you, Sean.
It might pay to get a hold of Aubrey Roth and with the school and Katie Bark both. I think that they could implement. I mean, they've already implementing most of the stuff that has anything to do with food in school. Somehow, some way to get them to be able to, I don't know if it's grant funding we would need or what we would need, but they would be 2 key resources that I think could help with the school link.
At least in Montana, it would be easy to add seed saving to the harvest of the month curriculum, which I think is really similar to what Patty was just saying. That would be an easy way to get some of these lessons out there.
Good to hear.
Noted. I will speak with Lizzie.
Oh yeah, right. Perfect. Barnes, you have your hand raised. Do you want to chime in?
Yes. So as a member of also Triple Divide Seed Co-op, and Laura is down in Hamilton with organic Homestead Organics. Is there any thought to having a seed swap or something like what you're doing down here? Because we're basically in the same valley. You're just at the north side of it, and I'm at the south side of it, and we ain't too far away, and similar growing zones and everything else. I just didn't know what that was like, because there's all sorts of growers kind of down here too, and market farmers, and it's like there's a lot of farms down here. So I just didn't know what you thought about anything going on down here, because I can't make any promises. Meanwhile, I love seeds, and if I can help out somehow, that sounds cool. I just know that just throwing out my suggestion.
Yeah. So yes. So there's a couple things. I guess I want to make sure I understand the questions, but I can respond as I understand. We whatever free the seeds it's learned on that would be useful to share elsewhere. We do share as often as possible with whomever is interested, and we often also get questions about how to start a seed library. And one of the wonderful things is that the system that we have here in the Valley is one that we picked up from the Five Valleys Seed Library in Missoula. Like, they taught us, and now we're teaching others. And it's about finding a way to keep it simple and reduce the barrier to entry to that as well. And so if there's an opportunity to share information that would be helpful to the folks where you are, let's do that for sure. And just to the point about where the seed growers where you are. So Triple Divide, for anybody who may not know this, Triple Divide Seed Co-op, Organic Seed Co-op, is a cooperative of certified organic farmers who grow organic seed crops for primarily, they have their own company and they have their own retail sales, and they also sell wholesale to the distributor market that you guys buy seeds from in your catalogs. And so they are an extraordinarily valuable resource, and they are a demonstration of high quality, large, everything's relative, but compared to your backyard or mine, high quality, large scale seed crop production. And they have a lot of information to share, and they do great work. And that is commercial seed production for a commercial market, which is separate and distinct from the collaboration of local seed production for communities, to be available for a community. So what I think is important to understand is that relying on Triple Divide to provide our seed, one, they're not doing that. These are farmers who are making a living selling their seed in a commercial market, as they should. But that is also not us not taking responsibility for our own food source. Like, this is our responsibility as a community to take responsibility for our seed source. And it will be fabulous to the degree we can work together with farmers, including those from Triple Divide, to support that. But it is the piece that's key is community members, we as community members, we as eaters, understanding that we are responsible for our food production, and part of our food production is our seed source. So there's a mind shift here of us taking responsibility for making the choices that we make as a community for our own food resiliency. So I just think that's a key point that I am realizing, just even as I'm talking here. I understand that in the context of food system work And seed source is a part of food system work. So we as human beings, as eaters, as community members, have an active role to play.
Megan, you want to share?
Yeah, so I'm Megan with Imagine If Libraries, and I've been really lucky to work with Robin on getting the Flathead Grows Seed Library started. And I just wanted to call attention. I don't know if everybody saw Rachel's comment in the chat about starting a seed saving community sign up sheet. And this was, I know Robin and I talked a little bit about this pre-pandemic, where people sign up to grow certain varieties and people taking that responsibility, like you're talking about, Robin, and committing to doing something, and also having it organized, as you mentioned, Rachel, so that, not everybody's giving beans to the seed library, and and then there's a variety, and those harder things to grow get done. And so I just wanted to make sure people saw that comment of Rachel's, because I think that is something that's very fairly straightforward and simple that could be implemented pretty easily.
It's a great idea. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, Megan. We, in this year, in the Free the Seeds bundles, it actually, one of the advantages of the pandemic is it created an opportunity for Free the Seeds to be more directive with the folks who receive the seeds that Free the Seeds offers. Because right in the bundle that we gave people was a list of how to save certain easy types of seeds, and a very strong directive on this opportunity to claim a variety to save and just take the next step, and a list of resources to support them in taking that next step. And so it was an interesting recognition of the a positive from this pandemic. It's allowed a more direct conversation and communication with community members, and we're hoping that folks will step up, and we've made it easy for folks to do precisely that, sign up to save a variety. There's a QR code on the document that we included in the bundles and allows them to share that information. So we'll see how that works, right, Gretchen?
I was just going to say, I'm curious if, just in this group, and I don't know how many of you grab seeds today. We actually have a diverse group of people from all over the state and the country even, which is so exciting. But I'm wondering if we put out as we put out the directive that we want you all to save some seeds, especially if you receive seeds from us, how many of you would be willing to do so? And, if we created, right now you can bring them to the Imagine If libraries as a easy way of dropping them off. But how many of you, you could show by a thumbs up as far as the reactions go, would be willing to do that just in this group? I'm just curious, because I think we keep saying it, and we definitely get some seeds, but it needs to increase. And so, it might come with a commitment from these 31 people here right now as a start, and then, move forward from there. But, we need it to be more widespread. So I guess I'm curious, how many thumbs up would I get?
Well, Gretchen, it's interesting that we're talking about having a more face-to-face interaction with the people picking up the seed bundles. And like Robin said, there's a lot of resources in each of the bundles that explains how to save the seeds. And so like I'm Andrea, I work for Farm Hands. And so I ran the seed pickup in Columbia Falls. And we had a really awesome turnout. We gave away every single bundle of seeds that we had. And one of the things that we tried to tell every single person is that these are heirloom seeds. Like, they're the type of seeds that you save, like commit to planting a few extra plants and then donate seeds back to us next year. And just having that short conversation, like who knows if these people are going to do it, but a lot of them are really receptive to it. And so I think Free the Seeds has done an amazing job of getting it out there, but I think having all that information in the seed bundles is going to make it a lot more approachable for people. And so I think that was a really good thing that did come out of this year with those seed bundles.
Andrea, on that note, somebody asked in the chat, if they miss the opportunity to get a bundle at the giveaway this morning, is there an opportunity some other way, some other place, some other time?
Yeah, so we have about 100 bundles left over from the Kalispell one that didn't get handed out. So we every week Farm Hands hands out weekend food bags for the weekend backpack program in Columbia Falls. And so we have a little building right next to Glacier Gateway. And so this Thursday, we're going to be putting all the extra seed bundles out with those bags. So it's Thursday afternoon from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. At our building in Columbia Falls. And you can check the Farm Hands social media. I'll be posting something about that, and I can put the information in the chat box too.
Great, thank you, Andrea.
If I could, it's short. I was wondering if we could set up some kind of a list of what people are able to provide, like what is their skill, what kind of resource could they contribute? Because right now I'm not set up to really give seeds, but there are other things that I can do. And it seems like this is a kind of a project where it'd be good to have some people who have certain administrative and organizational skills to kind of brainstorm and look at what resources do we all bring to the table here?
Crystal, I actually think that what you just said is the power of Free the Seeds and how Free the Seeds started. It started as this community of individuals who just wanted to bring their skills together to change our community. So I love that you shared that. I think that's what Free the Seeds is. That's who we are.
And Crystal, I think Farm Hands and with Robin's help, will commit to putting together some opportunities, maybe some from this, maybe we'll start from this group and see if there's some interest in different components that we're talking about that could meet and talk further about this. And, I have everybody's email. And so I will reach out to all of you with a kind of a call to action, and there's no commitment to it, but it will give you the further opportunity then to decide that you want to lean in more. And if you choose not to, of course, that is fine, because I think however many do decide to lean in, then we can expand from there. But I'm guessing that's a good way to start. I don't know if anybody has a different idea about that, but that's my thought on it, at least.
I have a thought. Since I own a seed company, one thing that I ask seed growers or even myself is grow what you like growing. And that's what seed companies have even told me from my grow outs for them is grow what I enjoy growing, because then it's better for everybody. So what I'm trying to say is if people want to grow seed, grow what they like growing. Try not to do carrot seed for the first time or some more difficult seed. Like do something you like doing, and maybe everybody else has already signed up for it, but just the point is just do what you enjoy doing, and it'll be easier for everybody. So thanks.
Thank you, Barnes.
This is Diane. I have gardened organically for probably over 40 years. It was in a different area. I just bought property here a year ago last fall. And my challenge right now is I don't have any place to grow things. I'm working on setting up a garden area. I have, though, over the years, I started years ago working on collecting seeds that I could plant again, so I didn't have to keep buying more seeds. So I have saved seeds for quite a few years, and I would be happy to help in any way I can in teaching other people this. Unfortunately, my property is a little hard to access. But like I say, I am more than happy to start, sending seeds back to the community as soon as I have some way of producing them.
Great, wonderful. Thank you.
I forgot, meantime, if there's anyone who has a place that could grow things that they aren't using, I would be interested in connecting with them. Just like I say, it's going to take a while for me to set up a garden area. I'm starting with more or less virgin land. It was growing a lot of trees, and I have a fairly large area where they had it got logged and had a landing. And so I will be, like say, starting from the ground up, literally.
Does anyone have further thoughts on the structure moving forward or does, any thoughts on things that we could do moving forward that would be a next step beyond what I suggested?
Yeah, Gretchen, do we know anybody that does know the school superintendents? Because there's only 50 of them in the country. That we could start the conversation with them to start planting the seeds, I guess.
I mean, we know, I know 3 of the superintendents in Flathead Valley. Dave Wick, who is the superintendent in Columbia Falls, just right before he came on, and interestingly enough, in the Flathead Valley, it is the 3 new superintendents. It's all their first year. This year was a hard year to become a superintendent, I think. But anyway, Dave he was a part of like a national principals organization. So he's very tied into different organizations around the state. So it might be worth chatting with him. We've been a little reluctant to burden the superintendents this year, just because it's been a hard year for them. I can't even imagine having to deal with the public and kids and keeping kids safe and all that. So I think, but this summer might be a good time to start that conversation, and probably having you a part of that, Patty, would be a good idea, just because you're so tied in. But then you're right, like including Aubrey Roth, the Gallatin has some really great farm to school programs, and really understanding the lay of land of the state. And then I think, as was it Coulter was saying earlier, figuring out how to tie in homeschooling with that, because Montana has a pretty robust homeschool organization. I think that is worth tapping into as well. So maybe you and I can talk about that further. And if anybody else on this call has any thoughts on that, we would love, or could be a partner in that, we would love that as well.
Yeah, and reaching out to the Hutterite colonies too, I think is vital, because they are growing a lot of food and they need some more quality control and, to help go the right direction.
So we just have about 5 more minutes. So I don't know, Robin, if you want to wrap up or if anybody else has anything that they'd like to add to the conversation before Robin wraps us up.
I just want to thank everyone for coming this evening and for all the ways you are connected to Free the Seeds, and more importantly, the way you are connected to your own food source and participating, in your community that way. This is an ongoing conversation. I do feel, as I said, that, the road keeps forking. We keep having to lean into new and different times. And I look forward to continuing the conversation, exploring creative ways to continue building our food resiliency and our local seed resiliency together. So I welcome future conversations. I welcome out of the box thinking. I am open to creative, different, expanded, alternative ways of participating in this endeavor through the Good Seed Company. I want the Good Seed Company to be a resource for this choice point. And just look forward to continuing the conversation wherever it takes us. Thank you. And have a great, great rest of the Free the Seeds event.
Thank you, Robin, so much. And I guess I want to acknowledge that Robin is the driving force behind the work that we do. I think she has inspired us to do this amazing work. And there's been an amazing group of community members that have contributed. A couple are on this call. I saw Haley Moore's here. She was the one who started the whole seed swap and did this amazing job to get us to the place that we are today. We have Isa Lund on here, who's just like an organization wizard, and we could not have done the work without her. And we just are so lucky to have these amazing people a part of this work. And so I think just with that, as I said, I think Robin, I'm gonna rope you into this, but we're gonna maybe create a Google form that we're gonna send to all of you about ways that you can continue to lean in. Robin always says that, and I love it, that you can lean into this more and think about how we might organize this effort in a way that actually does move it forward. So again, we hope you'll be interested in continuing to lean in. And as I send that out too, you're also welcome to share it with other folks that you think might or should be a part of the conversation. So with that, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And remember, we have 3 awesome workshops tomorrow happening, including a great community conversation that Isa Lund is going to host about creating edible neighborhoods and working together to grow food for each other. And then on Monday night, we also have 2 awesome orchardists that are going to teach us about fruit tree pruning. So anyway, we hope you enjoy the rest of Free the Seeds, and thank you so much. Good night.